my name is Sycra, and today I'm going to be doing a critique of a picture one of the forum members posted in the critique section of the Sycra.net forums. Alright, so here we have a dragon, and I'm guessing it's flying in the air, and I'm not sure exactly what's this that's been drawn here in this area. But it kind of looks like, I don't know, maybe a field of some sort. And yeah, it's a pretty cool image. You've got this nice S shape going on. I like that. It's got a sense of movement. But let's see what we can do to make it better. Now, first of all, I'm going to have to, I don't know if you did this on purpose, but the way this image is on the page, it's kind of cropped in a strange way. It almost looks like you started drawing the dragon, and then you wanted to add wings, but there just wasn't enough room on the page. And I don't know, maybe you like the way it's cropped and you didn't really want the whole dragon to fit on the page. That gives it an increased sense of scale. But for me anyway, I would like to see more of the dragon. So I'm just going to increase the size of this. Now, I can tell you're doing this traditionally on paper, but what you could do is tape additional sheets of paper behind this, and then you can extend those wings and the tail. Okay, so the biggest thing that I'm seeing here, and this is what I'm going to focus on for this critique, is a lack of form. Now, I see that you did draw in an arm here. Oops, don't want that. You drew an arm behind here, and that's great because that's drawing through the form, so you're trying to locate the other arm. But you didn't really establish what this form is, so this is somewhat awkward. So the first thing I want to do is get just a general idea of the perspective. Now, this isn't going to be anything fancy. It's just generally that we have perspective that looks like it's coming like this. Oops. And the horizon seems to be somewhere off the page. So I'm not going to really worry about that too much. Just want to get basic perspective grid down, so I can get an idea of the 3D space that this dragon is occupying. Now the next thing is, I want to block out the forms. So this body is kind of like an oval, so let's get that in. So let's say this is the shape of the dragon. Now this alone is not a three-dimensional shape because it's just flat. So we need to add a center line so that we can feel the shape of this. I gave another line. Now this is something you're going to do on top of this image. Like, let's say this image is okay. It's good for getting the mood. This is the mood of the piece you want. The next step is to work out the form. And then after that, you're going to clean up the form and do the final image. But let's start this way. So we have this kind of egg shape for the body. And then we have this neck coming out of it. So we need to find where the neck starts. Well, it's got to fit on the body, right? It's got to come out of the body. So this space is where the neck's going to be emerging from. And now I changed the shape a bit because I think it's going to get thinner towards the front, because usually that's how necks work. They get thinner towards the front. And I'm going to continue the center line that we had. And now where the head is. I'm going to simplify the head into a circle for this cranium, or a sphere. Get that center line down. And then the muzzle would come out from here, because it's got to fit on this cranium. So maybe in this area. Okay, now we have these arms coming out. Yeah. So I'm going to start with just some basic shapes. So a sphere here. Every time I put something down, I want to relate it to the body, so that's what I'm doing here. I'm showing that this line is coming around over this form. It's going to come around to this, I guess it's the shoulder of the dragon. Now let's imagine that this body is see-through. And where would the other arm be? So we have the center line here. I'm drawing a vertical line down, so I can sort of imagine that this is like a transparent object. Maybe it's made out of glass. So I see here that this shoulder is here, so then the other shoulder is going to be on the other end. So maybe here. Okay. And then you have the arms coming down here. Now, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with the arms. They have kind of this strange pose, so just going to try and simplify it like that. So here's where the hands would be. And then I'm going to split this in half to get a point where the elbow is going to be, because you have these, I guess, kind of human arms on this dragon. Then let's get in this tail. So carrying the center line, that line that goes across the back up here, I'm gonna color it in different color, maybe this yellow, so that's easier to see what I'm talking about when I say the center line. Line that comes here, and goes behind this head, carries on here, goes up this form. Now I'm going to use this to determine the way the tail flows. Let's say the tail comes around like you had it, and it ends somewhere around here. So that's the center line. So now we have lines on either side. So we have the head coming out of here. Say the tail is coming out of here. I'm just drawing in these circles to show the contour of how this tail moves around in 3D space. Sort of looking a little bit like a 3D model. Okay, and then you have the legs, and they're emerging from, I guess inside the body. But it's a bit strange because you have these human arms and then this leg that's quite different. In the future, I would suggest sticking to one or the other. Like, if you're going to have a very animal-like, perhaps like a dinosaur leg, then you're going to want to reflect that in the arms. Otherwise, it's going to look very strange. But anyway, let's say the legs are coming out from here. I'm just going to change them up a bit to be more like a human, just because the arm's that way. But I'll still give it this long kind of foot here. And again, let's find where the leg's coming out on the other end. I guess we don't really see the leg in your other picture, so maybe it's coming around back here somewhere. And it's hidden behind this wing. Just creating some basic cylinders to hold where those legs are. Where that foot's going to be. And now for the wings. Now, the weird thing that you've done with the wings is you've placed them in a pretty strange position back here. It's like the bottom connects to this tail, and the front sort of is on the rib cage between the arms and the leg. But a good thing to do is study animals, and you'll find that wings tend to come out around the shoulder blade region. So I'm just going to change where the wing comes out from. I'm going to change the color so it's easier to see what's the wing. So the wings are coming out from here. You might have noticed that I draw this and then I bring a line sort of following the perspective lines to locate where the end of the other wing is going to be. And now we can connect it. I'm going to change how it's connected to maybe on the body instead of on the tail. Or if you do want it, let's just do it the way you had it. So it's connected to the tail. That's a bit interesting. We have a wing here. We have a wing here. It's going to come up. Maybe we'll see underneath that wing. So that's pretty hard to see. So let's use a orange. Now these really aren't the best wings. What I ought to do is look at some reference. So I think I'm going to do that. Okay, so I found this reference of a bat, and wings are going to bend this way. And come up, maybe like that. And now we have generally the form of this dragon, where everything basically is, except for the head. So let's deal with the head now. Just going to zoom in a bit and see what you had. Alright, now right away I can see that something's a bit strange here. If we put a center line in, we get it coming up, comes here, and if we were to draw in the back of the skull, the way you have it, kind of just comes flat down. It would have to connect like that. Okay. You also have the horns connected to this head in a strange way, where there's this horn bent like this, so maybe it would connect like that, and this horn is bent like this, and it doesn't really work. Okay, so let's work off this structure we've created. Now if the eyes are in your image just above this muzzle, that's where I'm going to put them. So I'm creating a line to locate where those eyes would go. And we see both eyes. So that means they're fairly close to the nose, but from this eye it doesn't really seem to be that way. So I'm going to move the eye to maybe this position. And then the other eye wouldn't really get seen at all. And then for the horns, have them coming out of here. It's a bit awkward, so I'm going to push those horns back a bit. So one's coming out from here, the other one will come out from here. Okay, and this horn's coming up and then back, and this seems like you just weren't sure how to pull that off with this horn. So I'm going to reference this horn's, how it goes up and then goes back. So we'll have the horn come out this way and then bend back that way. Comes out, goes back. Now this horn is going to come up, and I'm going to take this area and draw a line to find where it's going to appear on the other side. Comes out, and it goes back, and again, I'll draw a line so I can determine where that's going to be. Okay, and now we have stage 2. So start with this, and that's okay. You can scribble out your idea of the dragon. I would recommend even just starting smaller and deciding in a thumbnail how you want your dragon to be. This way you can work out very quickly many designs. You could have maybe your dragon arcing its wings. Just experiment, and then you can decide how's that going to fit on the page. Okay, so this is stage 1. Then you're going to add your perspective, and that's going to help with things like this wing, where this wing seems to be going to a vanishing point in this direction. This wing's going to a vanishing point in this direction. Its body's going in this direction. It's just strange. So once you get those in, you would maybe change this wing to be facing this way. And then say there's another segment can be facing maybe this way. And I should extend that if I'm going off screen. But anyway, start with this. And you move on to fleshing out your dragon. And what you would do is you could take a piece of paper on top of this, or just draw very lightly and then erase. Then you could actually start drawing in the details of the dragon. So now that you have this to work from, you can really start placing the features of the dragon much easier. Anyway, you get the idea. So yeah, I guess the main point of this lesson is how to do this stage, which is breaking things down into simple shapes, trying to feel the form and see where things would connect to. Alright, but overall, I think what you did is a great first start, and you just need to take it further.